Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Right now it's 2 in the morning and I'm pulling an all-nighter out in the garden in below freezing temps because I'm that kind of party animal. So here's the deal, my friends. Right now we are at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, or about -4 degrees Celsius. And that's actually not a good thing right now for this gardener. And that's because I've got a lot of fruit trees, stone fruit in particular, which have already began to bud out, blossom. And when you get down to these lower temperatures, when your tree has already begun to flower, it can be devastating. Check out the perennial greens. Maybe you can see the sparkle of the frost on the leaves here. There's also a bunch of mist in the air coming from my Rainforest sprinkler head over there. So I'm going to turn the water off for a second so I can show you this. Alright, so the way that I'm trying to overcome this freeze damage is by doing some overhead watering throughout the evening, or the morning I should say. So here's one of the trees I'm trying to protect. This is a white nectarine. It's got beautiful blossoms on it. And by overhead watering in this freezing temperature, what I'm trying to do is create what's known as latent heat of fusion. It's a type of energy that can actually help to insulate the blossoms and protect them from freeze damage. If you look close at these blossoms, many of them have ice all over them. They're not completely encased in ice yet. You can see the icicles forming on these blossoms as well. Now, when performing this technique, the objective is to make sure, as you have freezing, that any droplets, any icicles that you see, you don't want them turning hazy or cloudy. If that were to happen, you would have what's called an exothermic effect. And that would cause the tree to begin to lose heat, and damage will definitely occur. But if the ice that you see forming, the icicles, are clear, then we have an endothermic reaction occurring, and it's actually trapping the warmth inside of the plant, helping to protect the trees and the blossoms from the freeze damage. So I can run my overhead sprinkler on a cycle of about 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, and I can keep that ice from becoming cloudy. Here's another one of my trees just beginning to pop. There's some budding, there's some open blossoms. And this is one of my favorite fruit trees, the sweet treat 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗀. And things are iced up pretty good. They're only going to get more iced up as we head on to the early morning hours. The coldest point is supposed to be around 6 a.m. At which point I expect to see these flowers completely encased, almost like ice cubes. So I'm going to turn the water back on. So this Rainforest head sprinkler, it basically mimics a rain event with a lot of mist. And it only uses about 1/3 of the water as a traditional sprinkler head, so that's a good thing. But everything's nice and cozy in the greenhouse, so just turn on the lights here for a moment so I can let you know a little bit more about what's happening right now. So I have experience with this technique. I've used it in the past. I've documented it. If you want to watch that series, there's I think 3 or 4 videos in that series. I'll drop a link to those videos in the description box. Now there's a lot of different ways folks may go about trying to protect their fruit trees during a freeze event once they've already gone into bloom. The issue is I have so many trees. I can't go around and try to protect them all with frost blankets. It'd just take way too long. So once again, I'm going with the overhead watering, freeze your tree technique, as it's worked for me well in the past. Now, a couple things to note here is that the damage really begins to occur when you start to hit about 28 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 4 degrees below freezing. That's when you can expect to lose about 10% of the blossoms on your tree to freeze damage. Now, It gets dramatically worse when you get down to about 24 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when you can lose upwards of 90% of your blossoms, which means 90% of your crop. So according to my thermometer, we're about 1 degree away from that 24 degree Fahrenheit. So it's crucial that I do something to help protect these trees. Thankfully, not all of my trees have woken from dormancy at this point, so there's just a few that are budding and flowering that I'm aiming to protect. Now, if you find yourself in a similar situation, here's the thing. If you get down to that 28 degree Fahrenheit, 27 degree, and you lost 10% of your blossoms, it's not always that big of a deal, because most of the fruit trees that we grow, especially the more mature trees, they require thinning of the fruit a lot more than 10%. So if you lost 10% of your crop due to freeze damage, it's usually not going to hurt you at all. It could even be helpful, actually. But again, once you start to get down 25, 24 degrees Fahrenheit, you're looking at 90% crop loss. That's not going to be fun. So we're going to do our best to try to protect these trees. You know, it is what it is. So hopefully we have success like we did in the past. And this is actually the second night of this late season cold snap. We got down to about 28 degrees Fahrenheit last night, and I didn't do any overhead watering. Things look good today, a little bit of damage here and there, and we've got another cold one tomorrow, so at least 3 days of this. Anyway, my friends, the struggle is real. I had left this flat of nasturtiums out a little late last night, and you can see some of the plants got droopy and damaged. They still look like they're going to survive, though. I pulled them in, I think, soon enough. But not everything's always going to come easy in the garden. But if you chop it up to a learning experience, then I don't see it being such a bad thing.